2015, a change of programme. You could now see United, champions of Europe, right here on LWT.
The man questioned over Jill Dando's murder tells his story. Belgrade jails 2 Australian aid workers. They deny they're spies. And Rangers beat their old enemy to win the treble.
From ITN, the ITV Weekend News with Andrea Catherwood.
Good evening. The man arrested, then released by police investigating the murder of Jill Dando, has spoken publicly about why he believes he became a suspect. James Shackleton says he did not murder her, but had been in the street near her home the morning it happened. He'd also been perspiring heavily and caught the number 74 bus to Putney Tube Station. Here's Sue Saville.
James Shackleton says he was questioned about Jill Dando's murder, then released by the police. He says he was not involved in her killing.
Well, I can confirm that I was certainly not the man responsible for Jill Dando's death. That was a terrible thing that happened to Jill. And my heart and soul goes, and prayers go out to Jill Dando's family and fiancé.
The funeral director says he was in the area that day collecting wood to make coffins. He says he ran from the park when a man made a pass at him and ended up sweating at a bus stop.
I was rather sweating and out of breath, as you can imagine. I've just done a half a marathon, you know.
Witnesses had reported seeing a sweating man get on a bus, then speak into a mobile phone. James Shackleton says he was shielding his face in case the man was still pursuing him. He says he does resemble the E-fit.
I probably do look a bit like the E-fit, and they just want to eliminate. And of course, I believe the police were. I mean, it's dragged on a bit now, hasn't it? And they are grasping at straws.
The police say their murder inquiry continues. Sue Saville, ITN.
2 Australian aid workers and their Yugoslav colleague have been convicted of espionage and sent to prison by a military court in Belgrade. Their sentences range from 4 to 12 years. All 3 insist they're innocent. Here's Kim Barnes.
Steve Pratt, seen here on Serve TV in April, is tonight beginning a 12-year prison sentence along with 2 colleagues from the charity CARE. The Australian ambassador was in court to hear the verdicts.
What worries me, and we have yet to analyse, is why the sentences are as long as they are, because I think that, well, first of all, I think they should be acquitted. I think they've committed no crime.
Peter Wallace was sentenced to 4 years in prison, and a Yugoslav colleague got 6 years. They were found guilty of spying near the Croatian border by a 5-judge military panel. But Steve Pratt's defence lawyer disputed the legality of the decision.
We think that this is the verdict is not strictly, is not in line with law.
Now, CARE Australia's chairman, former Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser, is urging international leaders to intervene.
I'll be asking them to appeal to President Milosevic as an act of clemency or whatever, to release our people and to let them return to their families.
And colleagues working in Albania say the men were simply doing their job.
People are very dedicated. They do this job because they are dedicated to refugee work, and there is absolutely no way that the charges have any grounds.
This is the first espionage case linked to the conflict in Kosovo. 3 American soldiers were threatened with prosecution in Belgrade, but later released. Steve Pratt and his colleagues plan to appeal, as aid agencies fear the move makes their work almost impossible. Kim Barnes, ITN.
At least 4 people are now thought to have died in the fire which broke out in an alpine road tunnel in Austria. Up to 70 more are injured. It's believed to have started when a lorry loaded with paint collided with a car. Here's Tim Wilcox.
It started just a few thousand feet inside the tunnel's northern entrance at dawn and was still burning by late this afternoon. The heat from the ignited paint lorry and surrounding cars reaching temperatures of 1,000 degrees Celsius, enough to rip slabs of concrete from the tunnel's roof and produce clouds of thick toxic smoke that engulfed everything inside. "You just had to run for your lives," said this man. Somebody was screaming, "Get out, get out, get out," said another. You couldn't see anything because of the thick black smoke. As firefighters waited at the tunnel entrance for a central breathing apparatus, panicking motorists inside did U-turns or simply fled on foot. 4 miles long and running under the Austrian Alps near Salzburg, the Tauern Tunnel is a major transit route between North and South Europe. Like the Mont Blanc Tunnel, where a fire 2 months ago left 41 people dead, the Tauern has just one single tunnel for both carriageways.
I think we really should question the designs of these longer European tunnels, because most of them don't have escape tunnels or safety tunnels.
Most of the casualties have now been ferried to hospital and the fire is said to be under control. But given the extent of the devastation, the tunnel's likely to be closed for many months. Tim Wilcox, ITN.
Police in the Irish Republic said tonight they are being taken to the exact locations of the secret graves of the final 8 of Northern Ireland's so-called disappeared, the people abducted and murdered by the IRA more than 20 years ago. Ivan Little reports.
Irish police moved in this afternoon to seal off a car park in the town of Carlingford near the border after they were told that the body of one of the so-called disappeared would be found there. The information came from the Cross-Border Commission set up to oversee the recovery of the bodies of 9 people the IRA said they'd murdered and buried in the 1970s. Another site in County Wicklow has also been cordoned off. Yesterday, the remains of Belfast man Eamon Malloy were discovered in a coffin in a graveyard near the border. This evening, the Commission for the Disappeared confirmed they'd been told about the burial sites of all 8 other victims, but the police warned that the recovery of the bodies would take some time.
It's been worked at as we speak, and it's been going on and will continue to go on until all sites have been pinpointed, and then the task of actually removing the remains to the Dublin City Morgue will commence immediately.
Police say the families of the victims are being kept fully informed about their searches. Ivan Little, ITN, Belfast.
Now today's sports news. Rangers have won the 10th Scottish Cup, beating their old firm rival Celtic 1-0 at Hampden Park. Rod Wallace got the winning goal shortly after half-time. It means Rangers have completed the treble in Scotland, while Celtic finished the season empty-handed. Linda Kennedy reports.
Rangers fans could scarcely believe such success. Their team now has every honour in Scottish football. They went into the Old Firm final as favourites, in front of a sellout 52,000 crowd at Hampden. But the first half saw Celtic in attacking form. The best chance came 20 minutes in, when the ball finally fell to midfielder Paul Lambert, who was denied by the crossbar. Rangers soon retaliated and came close when striker Rod Wallace got past Annoni. But he couldn't finish, and Jonathan Gould saved Celtic. In the second half, the deadlock was broken by Wallace, who put away his 27th of the season and placed Rangers on track for the treble. Celtic thought they had a penalty because of this alleged incident of handball, but Lorenzo Amoruso protested innocence and referee Hugh Dallas agreed. Rangers held on to the final whistle. For them, a sensational season. And so far tonight, all celebrations have passed peacefully. Linda Kennedy, ITN, Hampden.
Scunthorpe have been promoted to the 2nd Division after beating Leyton Orient 1-0 in the 3rd Division playoff final at Wembley. The winning goal came after just 6 minutes, a header from Alex Calvo-Garcia, ensuring Scunthorpe move out of the bottom division for the first time in 15 years. A crowd of 37,000 at Wembley watched them do it. England are in serious danger of going out of the Cricket World Cup. They must now win their rain-affected match against India tomorrow after Zimbabwe caused the biggest shock of the tournament so far